Welcome to Politics News Wolf US channel. The war between Russia and Ukraine caused many negativities in the world as the war continued. A flash statement came from the Kremlin. The Kremlin administration claimed that Ukraine targeted Washington leader of Vladimir Putin and attempted to assassinate him. After these statements by the Kremlin, the tension between the two countries increased after the event that shocked the world. The two separate statements came from Ukraine. In this video, we will give you the details of the breaking news. Moscow has accused Kiev of attempting to attack the Kremlin, the residence of Russian President Putin, with a drone. Russian state news agency, RIA Novo, claimed that two Ukrainian drones targeted the Kremlin. The alleged attack took place days before Victory Day, May 9, when Russia commemorates the defeat of the Nazi in the World War II. It was stated that with the timely activation of the air defense systems, the unmanned aerial weaks were neutralized before they could attack the Kremlin. The Kremlin administration statement that we reserve the right to respond raised tensions. The Kremlin press service described the alleged attack as a planned act of terrorism and an assassination of Putin. It was noted that Putin was not harmed due to the attack attempt. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov stated that there will be no change in Putin's work program after the assassination attempt. Dmitry Peskov said that Putin was not in the Kremlin palace at the time of the attack. Peskov added that the president continues his work at his residence in Novo Avu just outside of Moscow. It was reported that the parts that fell the ground as a result of the shooting of the UN vehicles did not cause material damage. State called for a retaliatory missile attack on President Zelensky's residence in Kiev. In addition, after the rise in tension, the eyes were turned to the statement to be made by Ukraine's Zelensky press spokesperson, Nikiforov, stated that they had no information about the so-called attacks on the Kremlin. Hours after the incident, a statement came from the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, speaking in Finland. Zelensky denied the allegation. They said they did not attack Putin or Moscow. Zelensky concluded his statement by saying that we have no weapons to spend on this, and we are fighting in our own country. The fact that the aircraft are drones with a range of high kilometers led to comments that the alleged attack attempt was made from within the city limits of Moscow. Moscow mayor use of drones inside the capital. On the other hand, Samuel Bandit, advisor to the Center of the New American Security, posted footage of the alleged attack on Twitter. Samuel Bandit stated that many details about the attack are still unclear. Referring to the footage of one of the drones, Bandit stated that it is not clear whether it was launched from within Ukraine or from Russian territory. He stated that drone looks quite large. Bandit suggested that the drones could be Chinese-made Margin 5s, which Ukraine had previously used to strike Crimea, or Ukraine's own UJA-22 long-range unmanned aerial weak. According to him, this attack revealed that the Kremlin, the political heart of Russia, is not safe, but dead Ukraine really tried to kill Putin with a drone attack. There are excellent reasons to be skeptical of Russia's allegations of the attack. Indeed, the Kremlin may be trying to divert everyone's attention from the fact that Ukraine could hit Moscow wherever the attack comes from or whatever target. It is a great embarrassment to President Putin and his administration. Ukraine, for its part, denies any knowledge of the attack. In addition, we do not yet know the characteristic of the aircraft used in the attack. The video shows at least one drone exploded over the Kremlin. However, it is difficult to distinguish the details of the vehicle. Ukraine launched further missile attacks against Russian targets, but none of them were at this distance for this blatant accuracy. However, the technology to be a larger and longer-range drones is not beyond Kiev's reach. Russia has the advantage of being able to recover and control the wreckage of any drone. Knowing the size of the vehicle also gave clues about how the weak escaped the Russian air defense systems on the way to Moscow. Given the electronic traffic on and near the target, the guidance system should be one of the key questions for Russian researchers. Russia will certainly want to thwart any further attack on Moscow. We don't know if this was an assassination attempt. We just know that the Russians want us to think that way no matter who. You ask the assassination question twitches during the war. International law tends to take the killing of foreign officials coldly, even in times of war. However, certain circumstances may justify an attack. Putin undoubtedly has direct authority over the military forces of the Russian Federation. This makes it a legitimate military target like anyone else in the direct line of command of Russian military forces on the ground. Russian forces attempted to aid Zelensky in the early days of the war. Paha tried to make credible accusations of the assassination attempt. Given these accusations, an attack on Putin would not exact. We escalate tensions, but there are serious questions about the wisdom of an assassination attempt on Putin. From a technical standpoint, a long-range drone strike is a pretty high-profile gamble for Ukraine. The guns will need to evade Russian defenses, have point-point accuracy, and enjoy the astonishing luck of having Putin in a predictable place at a predictable time. From a political standpoint, threatening the direct safety of a man who could launch thousands of nuclear weapons probably has downsides. What do we know and what is happening now? There's a lot we don't know. We do not know whether the attack was carried out by the Ukrainian armed forces, by Ukrainian partisans, or even by Russian dissidents. We don't know if Putin was really targeted. We know that Moscow is now at least conceptually vulnerable to Ukrainian aggression. We also know that Russia will feel the need to respond to this attack. Ukraine launched this drone, so forcing Russia to divert air defense assets away from the front may do less than damage. It would have been politically offensive for Putin to allow the Ukrainians to batter Moscow. The way Russia beat key forces may also be trying to foolishly provoke the Russians' Indian offensive ahead of the long-awaited attack on Ukraine. We will learn more when the war is over, and what happened is written. So what can happen when Vladimir Putin dies? The Russia-Ukraine war has been going on for more than a year, and the end is not in sight. The Ukrainians are leaving a valiant resistance on their land, but the Russian leader does not even think of retreating. As the war drags on, both sides will become more and more desperate. Putin spent months trying to decapitate the Ukrainian leadership in Kiev in 2022. Ukrainians are probably returning the favor. Putin is the embodiment of the old Russian concept of the iron fist. This has been a shared belief among Russians since the early days of Russia, that their country needed a strong, centralized authority and Ankara to remain strong, and united. Putin plays this role in Russia today. Putin has spent years silencing or collaborating with any alternative powerhouse. Even today, most of the Russian elite is unwilling to oppose Putin, while those around him fear that Ukrainian war might cost Russia because they fear that overthrowing him will hasten the collapse of the Russian state, who was the successor to the future Tsar of modern Russia. Frankly, the leadership is not very deep because Putin has spent most of the last decade clearing his regime of any potential rivals. Of course, there are some guys who can replace Putin. One of the names we hear frequently is former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, who is begging for peace with the West and threatening nuclear war on the other. Another name is Putin's senior foreign policy advisor, Nikolai Patrushev, a former KGB officer. Already a series of news has appeared in the Western press predicting that the Russian Federation will break Indeed's constituent parts. In Moscow, he reads these stories as a preview of the West's intentions. Another story that is constantly played out is regime change in Moscow. The latest drone attack on the Kremlin could be part of that plan. It is believed that the peace can be achieved in Ukraine after Putin leaves. Some Westerners even dream that if they can topple Putin, democracy can finally prevail in Russia. Thank you for watching the video. We value your opinion. Please comment, share them with us, and thank you so much once again for watching this video. See you in my next video.